Hi there, it's Nigel from B2B Whiteboard. I'm really pleased to introduce our B2B Marketing Technician. And this is a series of open source modules on B2B marketing, with our first module today being Introduction to B2B Marketing. And this will be a series of 10 modules that will be released over the next 6 months. You're free just to go through the material. If you'd like to become a B2B marketing technician, you can do the quiz at the end and the small essays, and we'd love to hear from you. So why should we study B2B marketing? Well, B2B marketing is a very exciting field because as much as 50% and as much as 80% of all jobs are associated with economic activity in the B2B marketing field. Also, just a very broad stat there is 2/3 of global output is B2B marketing as opposed to 1/3 being B2C, which is very interesting. Moreover, when you look at B2B marketing, it is fundamentally different conceptually and managerial compared to B2C marketing. Some of the differences are really when it comes to the product. The B2B products, sometimes they have a high degree of complexity than B2C. The decision-making unit's more complex for B2B as opposed to B2C, direct to consumer. And also there's a higher focus on aesthetics when it comes to B2C and more functionality and performance when it comes to B2B. So we'll explore a lot of these key areas in the coming modules. So let's look at the development of B2B marketing today. It really started off in the 1960s where it was called industrial marketing. And then it's evolved into B2B marketing in the 1980s and organizational marketing in 2000s. So the two schools of B2B marketing, we have the North American school, which is very much focusing on value and value creation, and the European model is very much focusing on relationships and networking. So really B2B marketing really is any organization that is doing business with another organization, or it could be an organization doing business with government, B2G. So it's a very exciting field. And when you're involved in B2B marketing, it's really focusing on the relationship component is very, very important. A lot of focus on negotiation, consultative selling skills, and a lot of focus in demonstrating value of your product or service. And we'll explore these in coming weeks. This is the first module, Introduction to B2B Marketing. It's in an animation form, but it'll give you an overview in 4 minutes of B2B marketing. And then I'll introduce you to some of the key quiz questions we have at the end of this, which should be fantastic.
Welcome to Module 1, an introduction to business, more commonly known as B2B marketing. My name's Nigel, and I'll be your instructor today. Please complete your first module and take the quiz to move to Module 2. Our learning objectives are as follows. First, understand the significance of B2B marketing. Second, recognize some key characteristics of business markets. Third, understand what is the difference about B2B marketing activity. B2B marketing refers to the techniques and best practices used by companies to sell their products and services to other businesses. Approximately 2/3 of global trade output involves B2B sales, compared to 1/3, which is B2C. Let's look at the 4 characteristics of business markets. The nature of demand is different in business markets. Demand is derived from consumers. For example, in the commercial aviation industry, consumers determine the number of flights and what they're prepared to pay. However, each aircraft is a product of hundreds of supplier organizations. The demand for their individual products is derived from trends in the number of flights being bought by passengers. Demand is variable in business markets because it's derived. As fluctuations develop in consumer preferences and behavior, so demand in the business markets fluctuates in response. This means that organizations should monitor and anticipate demand as cycles emerge. Lastly, in business markets, demand is inelastic. Once a manufacturer has incorporated a differentiated product into its processes, unforeseen and uncontrollable price increases have to be absorbed until a redesigned product can be developed. Now let's examine B2B's complex buying processes. While the level of risk is low for B2C goods, which are usually quick purchase by a single individual based on emotional appeal, B2B product purchases are more complex, with higher potential risk and longer, more complex decision-making. To start the sales process, you first need to understand the buying center, which is the decision-making unit of a buying organization and includes all the individuals that participate in the business's decision-making process. 5 roles in the buying center include users, influencers, buyers, deciders, and gatekeepers. Let's have a look at the international characteristics of B2B markets. Product or service adaptation may be required depending on the use of the product in a particular overseas market or different consumer preferences there. However, international ISO standards mean that many products such as steel, chemicals, plastic and paper have common ISO standards and require little adaptation if any. Outsourcing is an important function of B2B purchasing. Companies need to know which key products and services to keep in-house and which ones to outsource to other providers. The fourth characteristic of B2B markets is a focus on relationships, which means building long-term, collaborative relationships based on trust and commitment by both B2B partners. Relationship management is at the heart of B2B marketing and requires close attention to retaining and gaining new customers for long-term, sustainable growth. In this chart, I've highlighted a number of key differences between B2B and B2C marketing. In summary, we've developed a working definition of B2B marketing, explained the characteristics of B2B markets, and examined some important differences between B2B and B2C. Welcome.
Well, we've just finished that first module. It's only about 5 minutes. So what I'd like you to do, if you want to extend further and do further modules, for our first module, I'd like you to actually have a think about what is your own workable definition of B2B marketing? What are the differences between B2B versus B2C marketing? And then write a 300-word reflection on what you would like to learn in the field of B2B marketing. And if you could just forward that to b2bwhiteboard@gmail.com and you'll achieve your first micro credential. So this is a very, it's a real rustic course, these modules, but again, I'd love to hear from you if you're interested in that field of B2B marketing. And again, this is open source and it's just me trying to reach out and share some educational materials. So if you'd like to go further and get your first credential, just answer these questions. And we'll look forward to introducing module number 2 later in the month. So goodbye and we'll catch you later.